It's Drew Vass, executive editor for DWM Magazine and contributing editor for US Glass. We're in Boston this week for the American Institute of Architects Expo. So far as trade shows go for doors, windows, glass, and glazing, AIA is a little bit different than some of the others. Yes, people are here for exhibiting and education. There are like 450 sessions at this show. But they're mainly here for one thing, getting spec'ed.
The architect is the main audience we want to get in front of to specify our product. So this is an ideal show to really get in front of that audience.
So, if the name of the game is getting architects and designers to specify your products and their projects, the question is, how do you go about doing that?
Well, one thing to get into the architect office is the AIA presentations, where we go in and do a presentation in our office.
Well, one of the more important things is going through some of the software system, project software systems like Construct Connect. Going through those projects, finding the architects that are involved, and then contacting them directly.
Well, you take the visual aspect of the products that we have, turn them into vignettes so they can see them in real life, touch them, feel them, understand them. And then what you do is you break the technical documents down in your website in order for them to get it when they need it and only when they need it, and make it as simple and as straightforward as possible.
I don't need them to be 100% well-versed in every single product offering. I need them to know the name and have some familiarity, just so when it pops up in a spec or a substitution request, I'm not a nobody. There's some level of familiarity there.
How much of the door and window market gets spec'd?
It really depends on where it is in the country and on a residential basis, right? So in certain pockets of the country where there's code that's really influencing the way that a structure is built, obviously specifications become very, very important. But then there's parts of the country like Texas, right, where the builder really is making the decisions.
Okay, being in the software, educational luncheons, brand awareness, that's what manufacturers are thinking, but what do architects have to say? How do you get spec'd?
I think relationships, right? Do you know your design community? And does the design community know the manufacturers and the industry trade groups? So we're looking for the best products that do the best aesthetically for us, but also perform, right? We can't have coatings and glass and windows be the weakest link.
It usually comes from us, the architects. We work with certain builders and building supply companies that might bring new products to us, and that typically ends up in our project pipeline.
How do you find products, and how do you decide which ones end up in your projects?
Meeting the right people. I think the other thing is looking at our catalog that we have at our firm currently, and looking at projects that we've already currently worked with.
We generally use Material Bank, which is a third-party software. We have an in-house material library, and we have a librarian that also works there.
So, architectural firms have libraries, but how do you get your products onto those lists?
A lot of times we have companies that reach out to us. We will have them come in, whether it be a lunch and learn, or some kind of meeting. They send samples out sometimes for us to use. Those are some of the big things I've been seeing so far.
So we generally rely on that catalog, we rely on vendors, we rely on lunch and learns from vendors who come in and tell us about their projects and things like that.
How do they get on the list? In our office, I'm from Australia, right? Okay. So how do they get on our list? Either we have a really good relationship with the sales reps who come around to the office and help us manage the library. People do their own research, getting online and understanding where the innovation's coming from. So if there's particularly if there's been an architect give a talk about their project and they're talking about a particular material.
But every architect we spoke to today had one thing on their mind. What do you want to know about that product before you specify it though?
Sustainability.
We look for performance in our firm and sustainability together, because there's no such thing as good design without sustainable design.
We actually recently did an overhaul of our material library to make sure that it was a lot more sustainable, coming from economical sources, as well as being like beneficial towards the carbon footprint, things like that.
Is sustainability still the thing? Is that still the number 1 factor?
100%.
It is.
Yeah, even more so.
Okay.
It's making sure that you understand there's a line of sight from when it started to where it gets to, and the fact that we might need to then deconstruct it at another point in time.
So, what works? Make your brands recognizable, establish relationships, and make information easy to access, especially anything pertaining to sustainability and life cycle assessment, because that's what matters most to architects. Follow us for more from AIA in Boston.